Today I'm going to show you how to make a great looking knife wrap using some paracord, like the one you see on this knife here. To demonstrate, I'll be using a Gerber strong arm. But you can adopt this technique to other knives as well, so long as they have a few lashing holes along the side of the sheath. This will be the first part in a series of videos focused on preparation and principles of survival. Survival can be said to require 3 essential tools: a good knife or blade, fire, and cordage. Using this knife wrapping technique, we are effectively covering 2 of these: knife and cordage. Add a ferro rod to the mix, and you have all the tools in one convenient package. So, now the big question: how much cordage should you have? Well, 20 feet is a pretty good number. For a ridgeline setup, that gives you at least 10 feet for the shelter itself, and then 5 feet on either side to tie off around a tree and give you some leeway in between. Here's what I'll be using. Notice that I've cut it into 2 pieces: a 16.5-foot strand for the wrap, and a 4-foot strand to use as a leg strap. Tying these 2 together will give me 20 feet. One more thing that I'll point out is that if this is your first time doing this kind of wrap, start with a generous amount of cordage first, and then just cut off the excess when you're done. You can always measure how much was cut off to estimate the cordage in your wrap. So let's get started. First, find the center of your paracord and place it in back of your knife sheath. Now, come in front and wrap the 2 strands together like so. As you work your way down, do your best to keep the knuckle of each lashing in the center. Use a pencil or dry erase marker to mark the center if that helps. As you tighten and set each lashing, I like to give both sides a little twist downward. This helps to keep the natural roll of the cord, but also helps balance the eyelets of each lashing, making for a cleaner looking wrap. Continue working your way down, crossing in the back and keeping things nice and tight. Once you reach your first set of lashing holes, pass on through. If you're following along on a strong arm, this will be after your 4th lashing. If you're following along on the same knife as mine, the next lashing hole will come after wrap number 8, 4 more lashings after the first set. For other knives, the most important thing is just to keep things close together and tightly compressed. At the bottom, go through your final lashing holes to the back of the sheath. These next couple of passes are really just to take up some additional length from your cordage. I'm going to go up to the top holes, pass through, down to the midline holes, pass through, and then cross over to the top holes again. This crossover gives you something to hold the ends down when you're finished. When going back through any of your lashing holes more than once, it might be a good time to pull out some needle nose pliers. Once you've crossed over in the back and threaded through the top holes to the front, we're going to now weave back through our first lashing. To do this, we take the opposite end, cross over, and weave it back through the first strand, starting with the one that's on top. Then, take the other end, cross over, and thread it through the one that's beneath. I'm going to pause it here and zoom in so that you can get a better look. Then, count 5 lashings down and thread through again, only this time it will go under both strands on either side of your lashing. Continue following this pattern all the way down. At the end, come through the last lashing and flip your sheath over. Still have a fair amount of slack left. First, we are going to double up using our molly rings on the back. If you don't have these, you can do the same thing by just feeding them back through the lashings or skip this step altogether. Once you're done with that, we are going to do a snake knot to further reduce our leftover length, like I've done on my other knife here. To do a snake knot, start with the attached part facing away from you. Grab the left strand, come over, and loop back behind. Now take the right strand and come from behind through the middle of the crossing, then in front and down through that first loop. Let me demonstrate that one more time. Start with the left-hand strand, make a loop around the other strand, take that strand and pass it underneath. Come in front and down through the loop. Continue making snake knots until you've reduced the ends to their desired length. For this particular one, for me, 1 knot will be enough. The final knot I'll be using is the Alpine Butterfly Bend. It'll be hard to see what I'm doing, so I've linked the video to this knot in the description. A great thing about this knot is that it can be used to force the ends straight outward rather than perpendicular like most knots will. The last thing we will do is tuck our finishing knot underneath the lashing.